46% of developers call it their most loved tool. That's more than double the next competitor. And Andrej Karpathy, the person who helped build Tesla's autopilot and taught 40 million people machine learning, said it's the biggest change to his coding workflow in 20 years. The thing is, half the people using it right now aren't using it for code. This is the story of how Claude Code blew up and why almost every explanation you've seen missed the point. February 24th, 2025. Anthropic drops a tool called Claude Code into public preview. No launch event, no viral demo, no keynote. The product just appeared. For months, almost nobody noticed. A few developers tried it. Most went back to Cursor or Copilot. Then, the 2025 winter holidays happened. People had time, and something shifted. Claude Code started spreading through developer circles, then through knowledge workers, then through people who had never written a line of code in their lives. By February 2026, Reuters was reporting $2.5 billion in annualized revenue. Enterprise subscriptions had quadrupled, and Microsoft, which sells GitHub Copilot as a competing product, had adopted Claude Code internally across major engineering teams. The question isn't whether Claude Code blew up. It obviously did. The question is why, and the answer is stranger than you'd expect. Most coverage of Claude Code describes it as an AI coding assistant. That's accurate the way saying the iPhone is a phone is accurate. Claude Code is a terminal-based agent. You run it from your command line. There's no IDE, no buttons, no interface, just a conversation where you describe what you want done, and Claude Code figures out how to do it. But here's the part that changes everything. It reads your entire code base, not a snippet, not the file you have open, all of it. Claude Opus 4.6, the model underneath Claude Code, has a 1 million token context window. That's roughly 25,000 to 30,000 lines of code in a single read. No chunking, no retrieval hacks. The whole project, held in memory, understood as a whole. Other tools work differently. GitHub Copilot is autocomplete. It predicts the next line while you're writing. Cursor is an AI-first IDE, a full editor redesigned around AI suggestions. Claude Code does neither. It's an agent. You give it a task. It reads what it needs, writes what's necessary, runs the tests, checks the output, and tells you when it's done. The mental model, Copilot, is autocomplete. Cursor is a smarter editor. Claude Code is a collaborator you give tasks to. That difference in category is why it spread in ways the other tools didn't. The numbers are hard to argue with. By July 2025, 3 months after general release, Claude Code revenue was up 5.5 times. Enterprise subscriptions quadrupled. By February 2026, it had reached $2.5 billion in annualized revenue, the fastest any AI coding tool has ever crossed the $1 billion mark. A pragmatic engineer survey of 15,000 developers in February 2026 asked which AI tool they'd call their most loved. 46% said Claude Code. Cursor came in at 19%, GitHub Copilot at 9%. Microsoft employs the people who build GitHub Copilot. They also internally adopted Claude Code. Think about that for a second. But the revenue and the surveys show the result. They don't explain the why. There were 3 actual reasons. First, timing. Claude Code went viral during winter 2025 to 2026, right when Claude Opus 4.5 was released. The model got substantially better at exactly the moment people had time to experiment. Second, Karpathy. On January 26, 2026, Andrej Karpathy, one of the most respected people in AI, posted that Claude Code was, quote, easily the biggest change to my basic coding workflow in 2 decades of programming, and it happened over the course of a few weeks. When Karpathy says something changed his workflow, developers listen, and they did. Third, word of mouth from non-obvious places. Claude Code was spreading among people who weren't primarily coders, writers using it to manage their notes, researchers building personal knowledge systems, business owners automating workflows, and they were all talking about it in spaces that developers weren't watching. Which brings us to the part of this story that almost nobody covers. This is the part of the Claude Code story that most tech coverage skips entirely. The same tool that took over developer workflows also became the backbone of a completely different use case, the AI-assisted knowledge base. The pattern works like this. You have Obsidian, a note-taking app that stores everything as plain text markdown files. You drop a source, an article, a transcript, a PDF into a folder. Claude Code reads it, extracts the key concepts and entities, files them into a structured wiki, and updates the cross-references between pages. Every session, the vault gets richer. Every question you ask, Claude Code reads the relevant pages and answers with context that builds over time. Your AI doesn't forget between sessions, because the wiki is the memory. This works because of MCP, the Model Context Protocol. Anthropic built MCP as an open standard for connecting AI to external tools and data sources. Think of it as USB for AI. 97 million installs in just a few months. Every major AI provider now ships MCP-compatible tooling. With MCP, Claude Code can connect to Google Drive, Notion, your calendar, your email, databases, without you writing any integration code. The result is a tool that can read your entire code base and your entire document library and your calendar and your project management system and act across all of them in a single conversation. That's not a coding tool, that's an AI that lives where your work lives, and that's the use case that nobody was talking about when Claude Code started spreading. So where does this leave Cursor, Copilot, and Codex? Honestly, they're not really competing for the same thing anymore. Most professional developers who use Claude Code also use Cursor or Copilot. The most common stack right now, Cursor for day-to-day editing. It has the best autocomplete and the smoothest IDE experience, and Claude Code for complex multi-file tasks that need actual reasoning. Copilot is the value play at $10 a month. It handles the basics well and has the strongest enterprise compliance features. Claude Code starts at $20 and scales up, but for tasks that would take a developer a full day, there's no comparison. One quick note on Codex: it's not a product, it's the model underneath Copilot. When people compare Claude Code to Codex, they're comparing a finished product to an API, different category entirely. Claude Code blew up because it's a different category, not a better version of the same thing. It doesn't replace your IDE. It replaces the parts of your workday that require reading a lot of context and doing something meaningful with it, whether that's a code base, a knowledge vault, or your entire document system. That's a much bigger market than coding, and that's why the growth looks the way it does.